Welcome, friends,
to the How-To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
And I'm Uncle Dan.
And I'm Uncle Doug.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
Boy, howdy. Leaving religion is the first step into a larger, better world.
However, it can also be a scary world. Woo! Things work differently now.
Never fear, that's why we are here.
We're your audio uncles. And with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields,
we're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get the one that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
Happy almost Halloween there, uncles.
Ooh,
yes.
Spooky.
The time of year when children used to go out and get candy before...
Back before we were plagued.
Before permanent Halloween.
Yeah, before the before time. So, yes, fun show today. I'm actually going to reference Halloween, and I'm going to talk about another bullshit American myth that is trying to ruin all our fun.
Yeah, and I too will be a little themey on the Halloween thing and talk about the person that you are picturing every time someone says witch.
Yeah. The proto alphabet.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bring it home by completely ruining the theme and talking about leading a discussion on the paucity of atheists in our government that represent us and what we can do about it, maybe.
And also what the word paucity means.
It doesn't mean anything. He just
made
it
up. It's my word of the day calendar.
So there you go. It's going to be a fun show. So let's just jump in.
Hey, Uncle Doug.
Ho.
It is a spooky time of year. There's fun for everyone.
Do you mean election season?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It's that's less fun, but it's still like tremendously spooky.
Trick or treat, I think that's called.
This may be the spookiest of all of this season.
It's a spooky time of a spooky year, in a spooky age.
On a spooky-ass planet.
Yeah.
But I think there are some problems that we don't have to worry about quite as much as perhaps we worried about in the past. Uncle Mark, do you have anything?
Yeah.
Any good news on the horizon that we can talk about?
We'll get there. As you guys were mentioning, it is spooky season, as some people say, the heart of October. That's the word on the street, the talk around the water cooler, the buzz, as they say. But quick, before we get into it, honest question, what do you guys think about Halloween?
I've never loved it.
We have differing opinions. Okay.
Uh-oh. We're gonna have to separate ourselves.
You've never liked it at all, Doug? Even from childhood?
No. I never.
What? Free candy?
The free candy was nice, but it's like, it wasn't like, as kind of modest as my family was, it wasn't like I couldn't afford candy other times of year. And I don't love the costume thing was always just a big drag for me, and I'm a bummer. What can I say?
But you like it, Dan.
I've always enjoyed it. I like embracing the spooky in a fun way, and I like sort of the transgressive sort of vibe of the whole thing. I think it's a lot of fun. I like the sexy parties. I don't know. It all just feels like good. It's when grown-ups get to play in a way that grown-ups don't often do. So, I think that's actually a lot of it for me.
See, I loved it as a kid because, I was this imaginative kid and didn't have a tremendous amount of outlet for it, so it was always a big deal for me.
What happened to the imagination?
I don't know. It's just left. I sold it for some magic beans. But
it died with the kid.
But it died with the boy. But then I kind of went into the Doug sensibility of it, where like in college, I just thought it was every straight guy. That was the night he put on his girlfriend's clothes and got hammered and just screamed all night. And I'm like, oh, fuck this shit. And then, but as an adult, I've kind of come full circle. Years ago, I was working in Atlanta. And I went to my buddy's place, and autumn in Atlanta is gorgeous. Like, it's so beautiful. And this guy I was working on a movie with was a scenic painter, so he was really capable of all this cool shit. And he had this amazing, spooky old Victorian house on a corner in this great neighborhood in Atlanta. And he went for it, right? Like, he and his family it was nuts. Like, the whole yard was a cemetery. There was fog everywhere. And the kids, he only let them in a few at a time to walk around the wraparound porch where his wife was the witch at the end, right? It was all outside. But it was really spooky fun. And the kids were just lined up. Like, it took an hour. You'd have to wait in line for an hour. And I just saw how much fucking fun they were having.
Yeah.
And I kind of came around and I said, you know what? This is actually a really cool thing. And so I've come full circle. And as a person who works in the imagination business, I think more imagination and creative playtime for kids is better than less. And letting children inhabit a character for a whole day is not just fun and creatively challenging, but in a way it's kind of empathy building. And, for you, as you're saying, Dan, kind of the transgressive nature of it for queer and gender conforming kids who are too young to have the words to say it, or maybe aren't safe to honestly express themselves in their family situation, it may be a single night of liberation after, another year of living in some kind of closet. So,
well, let me, before you go on, I'll amend my harumphing a little bit.
Too late.
I don't hate Halloween for other people. I don't want it to go away or anything like that. And I love trick-or-treaters. And in the past few years, we've had a little tradition where you guys come up to my house and we watch a scary movie on Halloween and we get candy. But we've only ever gotten like 2 or 3 trick-or-treaters a night.
Well, and then one year we were watching the movie and we heard trick or treat and Dan's wife screamed so loud with excitement, I think she scared them off.
Totally.
She was so excited we had trick-or-treaters. It sounded like someone was getting killed in the house.
That can happen.
Then they ran away. So,
but I love you. I'm with you 100% on kids getting dressed up and going out for a fun night. I get behind that 100%. I never loved it because I am, like I said, a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
See, I'm the opposite of you guys. I think the kid part is the worst part about it, and I just want them to go away so that I can have my fun.
Wow, we're like all over the map with Halloween. Okay, that's cool. I love it. So, but honestly, I don't give a shit that it derives from a quasi-religious pagan festival that it has precious little to do with anymore at all, right?
Right.
It can be magical and spooky and scary in a great way, and what child couldn't use a little more magic in their lives? So I'm for it by gum. And that's why it's so fucking sad that the American habit of panic and overreaction has for so long robbed this intoxicating night of unusual permission and childhood abandon of some of its magic and transportive power. Want a window into the, quote, common wisdom that American panic and overreaction to just about anything looks like around Halloween? Let me quote from a piece in the October 31st, 1983 Gainesville Sun newspaper from a column by Abigail Van Buren, better known as advice columnist Dear Abby.
Dear Abby, that's right.
Yeah, who is considered a paragon of American wisdom and sensibility for reasons that will make absolutely no sense when I'm done reading this.
And didn't make sense before you started reading it either.
She made no sense at all. So she says, Dear reader, it's Halloween again and time to remind you that somebody's child will be seriously injured or killed in a Halloween-related traffic accident. Somebody's child will be badly maimed or fatally burned due to a flammable costume.
Oh, my God.
Somebody's child will become violently ill or die after eating poisoned Halloween candy or an apple with a razor blade. Somebody's child will be coaxed into an automobile and lured into a secluded area and sexually assaulted.
Oh, my God.
Holy shit.
My God. To make sure that that child isn't yours, here are some tips to ensure the safety of your children.
Oh, my God. Uncle Doug, you are suddenly so much more Pollyanna about this thing than I thought.
Prescient, really, right? Use flame-proof costumes only, like someone needs to tell you that. Because masks, floppy hats, wigs, and veils often interfere with a child's vision, use makeup instead. Accessories such as swords, broomsticks, hatchets, wands, etc. should be made of cardboard rather than plastic, metal, or wood.
Here's a little hatchet, Timmy. Now go have fun.
Provide youngsters with flashlights to prevent falls on sidewalks and porch steps. Positively no lighted candles should be carried. So there goes your Dickens Halloween costume, I guess. Decorate your child's costume and trick-or-treat bag with reflective tape to make them highly visible to motorists. Remind your child they should never enter the home of a stranger or accept rides. Adults can help by keeping their yards well lighted. Parents should check all treats before allowing children to eat them. Very young children should never be out after dark unless accompanied by an adult. So make it a safe Halloween, and come Thanksgiving, you'll have more to be thankful for.
My God.
Okay.
See, yeah, Uncle Doug suddenly doesn't seem like a curmudgeon at all.
I know,
right.
Doug is on the right side of this history. So if I let my kid go trick-or-treating, they're either going to be flattened by a car, accidentally incinerated, fatally poisoned, abducted by pedophiles, or impale themselves, or any of a number of combinations of all of the above. Dear Abby thinks Halloween is a single-night version of the Hunger Games, apparently. So Have fun, kids, but if you get stab, rape, incinerated, which is hugely likely, you'll ruin Thanksgiving for everyone. Bye. So that's a hot mess of classic American panic.
Yeah.
But there's one tidbit in there I want to shine a non-candle light on more safely and closely, and that is the poisoned candy one.
Yeah.
This is an odious urban legend that has turned a wildly fun night for children into a panic-inducing ordeal for parents, causing totally useless fugues of paranoia and hysteria since I was a lad. Countless Halloweens have been fogged by reports of diabolical strangers tainting candy with drugs, rat poison, razor blades, and needles to murder or maim the children of strangers for reasons, apparently. Now, there are some fucked up people in the world, and there are real, actual murderers who kill total strangers, even children, sure, and that's not good. But it's pretty deranged to assume that
hard
someone
stance to take.
Yeah,
it's just not
again, I think the three of us are going to disagree on that, right? But it's pretty deranged to assume that someone up the street from you would buy bags of Halloween candy, carefully open the wrappers, poison it or stick a needle in it, then carefully wrap it back up to appear untampered with, carve up some pumpkins, turn on the porch light, and cheerfully murder every random child for the crime of yelling trick or treat. An insidious plot that would be easily traceable back to your front door within hours.
Yes.
Yeah, speaks to something deeply fucked up in the American imagination.
It is the most imperfect crime.
Yeah, you're going to fry for it, right? They're going to kill you.
They're going to get you. Yeah, exactly.
But like the rhythm, they're going to get you. But like most hysterias of this nature, there are a few teensy tiny nuggets of reality that provide the seeds for the mighty oak of American hysteria to grow out of. So in 1959, for reasons that are not clear, a guy in California gave chocolate-covered laxatives to trick-or-treaters, many of whom ended up having a pretty shitty night, but
that's
no one
pretty
died. He was charged for the unlawful dispensing of drugs and a crime called an outrage against children.
Oh, wow.
In 1964, a mean old woman who had some serious opinions about how old trick-or-treaters ought to be handed out packages of steel wool, dog biscuits, and very clearly marked ant poison to older kids whom she told they were gag treats in order to scold them for participating in the holiday.
I see.
That blew up into a huge news story about poison candy and dead children, but no one died or was even hurt by her crabby little stunt. Even so, she was charged with endangering children.
Yeah, that's not a cool thing to do.
No, it's a shitty thing to do. Don't participate in Halloween. Like, just
turn
close
your
door
porch
and
light
turn
off.
your light
And,
off. But here are the two stories that really blew the poison candy panic up. In 1970, a 5-year-old boy in Detroit named Kevin Toston was reported to have died after eating some of his trick-or-treat haul. An investigation was immediately launched, and community panic ensued. Everybody's hair was on fire. His family provided the police with several weirdly tampered-with pieces of candy that were tainted with heroin. Their story fell apart pretty quickly, though, as they soon admitted to the fact that the boy had found his uncle's heroin stash, mistook it for candy, and consumed a massive fatal dose.
Shit.
And the frantic family was trying to cover for the uncle when they tried to fake the evidence of more tainted candy. Shitty, awful, a dead kid, but no case of strangers handing out poison candy to random children.
Moral of the story, never trust an uncle.
Well, yeah, exactly. But also, like, people don't just give away their heroin. That's not... you can kind of count on heroin users to keep that.
If heroin users are known for one thing, it's not giving away heroin.
Yeah, a peanut butter cup is cheaper than a fix, so you're not getting their heroin. So the other story is even more awful. In 1974, an 8-year-old boy in Texas named Timothy O'Brien ended up dying after apparently consuming a poisoned pixie stick. Once again, the full force of the police was brought to bear. Community panic led to a national panic. It was all over the news. You can imagine.
I remember. What year was that?
74. I don't think you remember 74. No.
I don't, but I do remember, like, there was I'm sure we'll get there, but a marked fear of pixie sticks when I was a kid.
Well, this might have been the source of that. So events surrounding the night of the poisoning began to seem very peculiar, however. While out with several neighborhood kids and other parents, Timothy's father, Ronald O'Brien, dashed ahead to a house that did not appear to be participating in the holiday. Then he came back down off the porch with a handful of pixie sticks. The other parents thought it was odd that he had trick-or-treated without the kids, like an adult just knocking on the door by himself. And they hadn't seen the door of the house open, but he said they had just opened it a crack and handed them out to him. The police then discovered that Ronald had recently taken out life insurance policies on both of his children.
Oh, my God.
No way.
Even increasing them the day before Halloween, much to the discomfort of the very weirded out insurance agent who was like, yeah, people don't normally do this, you know.
Yeah, this is not a...
This is what's called a red flag in the industry.
It was also discovered that the pixie sticks he gave the other children had been opened and closed back up with a staple.
A staple?
Yeah. Not exactly how pixie stick is typically how they come out of the package, right? So it turns out Ronald O'Brien was distressed about being in debt and decided that collecting the life insurance policies he'd taken out on his own preteen children was his ticket to financial freedom. Oh my God. He even called the insurance company the very next morning to try and collect after his son died.
Wow.
He hoped the other kids he gave the poison to would also die in order to cover his tracks. So that's fucked up.
Oh my God!
For those of you who don't know what a pixie stick is, it's like a paper straw with basically just granulated sugar.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of poison already.
It is literally cocaine for kids.
Yeah, but much slower acting than the cyanide that he put in. And the amount of cyanide he put in these would kill like 4 adults.
That is
but also, I should mention, even though it is cocaine for kids, don't snort it. I know from experience that is not pleasant.
Exactly. There's something called caramel nose that is not often seen in emergency rooms, so all the doctors are going to come check it out when the case shows up. It's like a big deal. They look forward to it on Halloween. So the press nicknamed O'Brien the Candy Man after the hit song Sammy Davis Jr. recorded in 1972, after it was featured in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in 1971. So that adds a sweet twist to this nightmarish saga. The jury in his case took all of 46 minutes to convict him with 1 count of murder and 4 of attempted murder. For his crimes, the state of Texas executed the Candyman in 1984. A terrible, horrible, no good story, but again, not strangers trying to poison random children. Remember, if you get raped, abducted, assaulted, or murdered in the United States, statistics overwhelmingly show it was by someone you know. Mm-hmm. And it was not helpful to the explosion of this sinister canard that it was happening concurrently with, and likely because of, the Satanic Panic, another American hysteria happening at the same time, which we discussed in episode 23. So stories of candy poisoning could trace the motivation of the and I'm saying, quote, perpetrators, to fables of widespread child sacrifice and ritual abuse that were apparently raging in every community from coast to coast. The very Christian and very demented illustrator Jack Chick, who we need to talk about another time, added fuel to the fire by making one of his famous Chick tracts depicting a black mass where witches were asking Satan to bless their poisons, their needles, razor blades, and candies so they might deliver him the maximum number of child sacrifices on his special day. And as stupidly credulous as both local and national news media were about everything related to the Satanic Panic, it just became common wisdom, accepted fact that your children were very likely the target of a sadistic child murderer living somewhere within a few blocks of your house. By 1985, 60% of Americans were terrified of letting their children eat their well-earned sugary booty. A guy named Joel Best...
But I must say, for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
They should have been concerned.
Yeah.
For other reasons.
Well, you know, kind of diabetes is as American as apple pie, right? So So Joel Best, a professor of sociology and criminal justice at the University of Delaware, is the world's leading expert on Halloween candy poisoning and tampering legends.
Oh, no.
It's actually his life's work, this particular thing. So he spent years tracking down every single report of poisoned goodies. And other than the sad circumstances I mentioned above, there's absolutely no truth to any of the hundreds of panics, urban myths, and credulous local news stories.
Wow.
Yet, to this day, news outlets warn of the dangers of poison candy and razor blades in apples. And by the way, if you're handing out apples on Halloween, even without razor blades, you're a monster and to be avoided. Stop doing
that. No apples.
Texas should give you the chair for that. So,
boo, trying to keep kids healthy. Boo.
You can have an apple any other fucking day.
Yeah.
Some hospitals and clinics will still x-ray your candy to check for needles and shit.
I know. It's amazing.
Yeah. Churches and other groups have long organized what's called trunk or treat events.
Yeah.
Where basically all the same people whose porches you would have visited park in the church parking lot for the added safety feature of having candy distributed from the trunks of idling cars. So that's much more fun, you guys.
It sets a good precedent for the child, too. They learn that getting stuff out of the trunk of a car is a safe and healthy way of doing things.
And spare a thought for the murderer pedophile down the road, like looking down the street at the parking lot going,
they foiled me.
They foiled me.
Yeah, with his bowl full of needles back at home. And look, given the political nightmare we're currently going through in this country, I'm as suspicious of about 40% of my neighbors as the next guy. But Halloween is also a lot of fun as a community event. The people with their porch lights on love to see the kids in their costumes and help contribute to the wonder and mischief and magic of a special childhood event. They bought candy to give it to your children for free, not to murder them with it. Have a tiny bit more fucking faith in humanity, which is weird for me to say. But
right.
Obviously, despite Dear Abby thinking she needs to remind us not to let our children set themselves on fire, most parents do everything they can to make Halloween safe and fun for their kids. Though this year obviously is going to be a weird one for sure. And sure, take a look in the bag if you're nervous. But taking candy to get x-rayed, going to the, quote, safe trunk or treats, is giving into a lie about events that never happened. Just another hysterical moral panic that has seized our weird American neck hairs from the Salem witch trials to the Muslim ban. There's plenty to be scared about in the world right now, like the very air we breathe is filled with murder germs. A paleo-fascist Supreme Court nominee is looking ready to legislate us back to pre-Deuteronomy. And a steroid-fueled Trump doing the tongue-out Epstein dance at his rally that I cannot unsee. So be afraid of that shit, but not the candy, for fuck's sake. So
yeah, I am 100% on record as being so thoroughly against the trunk or treat thing. Not just because, it ruins the fun of like the sort of scavenger hunt nature of of trick or treating, but also because, like, you as a kid, you finally have motivation to actually interact with people
I completely
that aren't
agree
in
with
your
you.
church, that aren't in, you don't know who they are, and you go to their house and they give you something nice, and it's like there's something beautiful about the house-to-house thing.
It's a community thing. It's like a beautiful kind of building community in this one kind of funky little way, and I think it's cool.
And I think the trunk or treat, I completely agree with you, Uncle Danik. I think the trunk or treat is actually quite racist because it's not, you're not you're like going to all of your neighbors and saying, let's all go do this thing. You're going to your community, like your church group. One of of the Halloween I hated, one of the favorite things was that you'd get candy from like Latino families that was something you'd never seen before. Yeah. It was like a different kind of candy. It was really cool. And there's always
the woman who gives you like the full-size candy bar and you're like, I'm never fucking forgetting her.
Yeah, exactly. But those
I will
people,
cry at her funeral.
If you're not part of that church group or whatever group it is, you're not going to the trunk or treat.
Right.
So you're not exposing your kids to the people who live around them. I completely agree.
Yeah. So, and again, all that is based on bullshit. It's based on a lie.
Uncle Mark, when we were kids, and all of us, that was a constant refrain around Halloween.
Yeah.
Don't eat your candy till you get home. I remember that very clearly. And
break all the candy bars in half before you eat them.
Yeah, and it's still a thing. That's so crazy.
Yep. So there it is. Get out there, get some candy. And, if you're going to poison somebody, do it another night of the year. Don't be a dick about it.
Well, and
again,
also, follow in the tradition and poison someone you love.
That's right.
Well, exactly.
And again, about the trunk or treats, if U.S. crime statistics tell us anything, it's don't trust people in your church.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So you're better off with strangers. Go get some candy.
Well, remember, though, this year, you should be concerned that your child is eating a pillowcase full of candy in one night. That's a bad.
Boo.
But
Boo
also,
to you.
during the pandemic, every candy that you get from a stranger is poisoned.
Yeah.
So, maybe not this year, I guess. Sorry, kids.
You're back to curmudgeonly. I don't like curmudgeon, Doug.
I never left.
Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to put a sign on the door that says, say trick or treat, step back 10 feet. And I'll put a little piece of tape on the sidewalk in front of our house, and we'll toss your treat to you.
Say trick or treat, step back 10 feet, give me something good to eat.
Yeah, there you go. We'll all be safe. All righty.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Well, Uncle Mark,
Hello.
it is a particular time of year, and, Halloween is in the air, and part of that brew is the witches.
Part of that brew is brujeria.
Ooh.
See?
Yeah.
What?
Muy bien.
Well, and so
You're talking in funny talk.
yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Speak American, goddammit.
That's right.
It's Halloween. You speak American. Just like Jesus done.
So, Uncle Dan, I think you have, which witch to talk about, which us.
Yes. It is October, and that means it's fall. Here, anyway. Obviously, in Australia, it's April. So, yes, I do want to talk about witches, it being the witching time of year. Now, to be clear, I'm not going to talk about 20th and 21st century quote-unquote witches. For that cauldron of steaming poo, you can feel free to listen to my bit on Wicca from episode 128. You may be saying to yourself, I don't remember a segment on Wicca, but that's just because that episode ended with Uncle Mark talking about the Anthill Kids, and we were also traumatized with the entire episode.
I forgot that.
So,
sorry, everybody.
I did, in fact, do that, so you can go and listen to it and just stop before the end.
Yeah, please
don't.
stop before the last segment.
But no, the witches I want to talk about are the old school witches, the sorceresses, the diviners, the casters of spells, and one very special witch who foretold the future with astounding accuracy. Right?
My theremin ran out of air.
That'll happen.
It's a Scottish theremin.
Yeah, I didn't realize
exactly.
that
You need to
theremin was
get
a wind instrument.
Oh, boy. Well, okay, so the concept of witchcraft goes back a long way, and I'm talking ancient Egypt here. I'm talking Babylonia here. I'm talking thousands of years ago. As a matter of fact, part of an Akkadian witchcraft ritual is literally chiseled in stone in the Code of Hammurabi.
Oh.
Don't at me about the pronunciation. Which is a Babylonian text from about 2000 BCE. The Code of Hammurabi deals a lot in sort of social issues, how contracts should work, how much to pay an ox or a surgeon, and if somebody casts a spell on somebody else, how to tell if it was right for that person to have done that.
Wait, you have to pay the ox?
The driver.
Oh, sorry.
Ox driver.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
So anyway, this is a quote from that Code of Hammurabi. Quote, if a man has put a spell upon another man, and it is not justified, he upon whom the spell is laid shall go to the holy river. Into the holy river shall he plunge. If the holy river overcome him and he is drowned, the man who put the spell on him shall take possession of his house. If the holy river declares him innocent and he remains unharmed, the man who laid the spell shall be put to death. He that plunged into the river shall take possession of the house of him who laid the spell upon him. Pretty foolproof when you think about it.
Yeah, I'm just glad I don't live in ancient anywhere.
And what else floats? A duck.
Oh, we'll get to the duck.
All right.
Yeah. We're not there yet. But this was a pretty good method of determining things, unless you don't believe that rivers know what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, if the rivers don't know what's up, then suddenly witchcraft becomes a very dangerous game. Anyway, this passage is interesting because it makes clear that the ancient Mesopotamians were idiots and didn't know that when it comes to witchcraft, you're supposed to be throwing that side eye at the ladies. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's also fascinating to note that the problem Hammurabi had with witchcraft wasn't if it was good or bad in and of itself, but rather if it was deserved or not.
If it was misapplied.
Yeah. So witchery features heavily in the Bible. We've talked about that. It's commonly associated with evil and the devil. Throughout the bad book, witches are condemned and sentenced to die for their sin. Except the part where Saul has the witch of Endor summon the spirit of the dead spirit of Samuel. That witch is cool, I guess. But as for the rest of them, well, Exodus is pretty unambiguous when it says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." And since society still hasn't figured out how utterly nonsensical that book is, accusations of evil witchcraft continue to plague society to this day.
Yeah.
Interestingly, historically, there was a long period in Christianity where witchcraft wasn't taken seriously. The 20th century, you ask? Foolishly? No! Obviously not! Accusations of witchcraft happen all over the world. Mostly women still get attacked for this shit. No, shockingly, the time I'm talking about is actually the so-called Dark Ages.
Really?
For centuries, the church was actually, brace yourselves, kind of reasonable about the idea. As a matter of fact, somewhere around the year 900, the church released Canon Episcopi, who knows?
Yeah.
Which was a passage of church law that dealt with folk beliefs and what the church thought of them. Now, if you had asked me what the Christian take on witches in the year 900 was, I would have been positive that they were terrified of shit of them and probably burned every 20th woman in every village just to be on the safe side.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would have totally said the same thing.
But that's not the case.
Huh.
In Canon Episcopi, it doesn't even believe in witchcraft. It dismisses the idea as a fabrication. And women who called themselves witches, or in this case claimed to be followers of the pagan goddess Diana, weren't really magical. They had just been deceived by the devil into believing that they were magical. That's the church's whole the church's whole take on them was that Satan had taken possession of their minds, and that was bad. And they should probably be kicked out of the town before they trick anybody else into their dumb beliefs. But that they were harmless when it came to magic.
So there was satanic possession and shit, but there wasn't witchcraft.
That's right.
Huh.
There were demons and heretics were of course burned at the stake or whatever, but
All day.
there wasn't such thing as like people who actually had witchy powers. And that was the word on witches in Europe for actually a long time. But you know the church, there's no reasonable position that they can't untake.
That's right.
By the 15th century, people were positively itching to believe in scary magic ladies. That notion bubbled through the land until the 1480s, when a particularly uptight German clergyman named Heinrich Kramer got his panties in a twist about some local young women. He attempted to try them for witchcraft, taking a particular interest, and this is always a good sign, in the sexual proclivities of one of them. But fortunately, the trial was a total bust, and the women were allowed to stay in town. Heinrich, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. The local bishop was so disturbed by the whole affair that he kicked Heinrich out, calling him senile and crazy. So, another point for reason. Hooray! Don't get used to it. After his exile, Brother Kramer decided to write a treatise on witchcraft called Malleus Maleficarum, which sounds like it sounds like the spell that J.K. Rowling tries to cast to stop trans women.
To say that trans women don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it translates something like the Hammer of Witches. In it, he outlines exactly how evil the witches are. He discusses at length how to tell if he or she is a witch. Yes, it was mostly women, but sometimes you meet a guy who looks at you funny, you know? Now, it turns out that even though there was a perfectly scientific method available for establishing witchery involving scales and a duck, our boy Heinrich needed to be more certain than even floating weight comparisons were capable of. So, he suggested a far more reasonable way to sniff out a witch. It's simple when you think about it. It's almost funny that it took this long to figure it out. You just torture and lie to them until she confesses.
Oh.
Yeah.
Doy.
You know what I'm saying? Unless you think that that's just sort of standard Inquisition stuff, apparently it wasn't. Apparently, the top theologians of the Inquisition condemned it as being unethical and illegal. I repeat,
What?
the Inquisition
What are you-
thought that Malleus Maleficarum went too far.
Oh, nobody
Get outta
expected.
here.
Nobody expected that.
Yeah. Boom. Exactly. So, Heinrich's book gained little traction in the church, which is awesome. The problem is that books stick around. Malleus Maleficarum had lots of editions, and once the printing press got up and running, it really got out there. Eventually, it fell into the hands of local magistrates all over Europe, and it was them and not the church that really ran with the idea, leading to the widespread killing of thousands of obviously innocent women.
If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. The printing press was a bad idea.
Right? It's so clear.
So
when
far,
you look
Doug,
at
you've
it.
come out against Halloween and the printing press on this show. Just in one fucking episode.
I am consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All things are bad.
He's our own Dougie Downer.
But here's the thing. I don't want to talk generally. I want to talk about one particular witch, the proto-witch, the witch who became the pattern for all subsequent witches. Without knowing it, this is the woman that you imagine when someone around Halloween says the word witch. This is Ursula Soothtell, better known as Mother Shipton.
Ursula Soothtell?
Soothtell, because she told Sue.
That is the
great name.
coolest name
Yeah.
ever in history.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And not everyone calls her that. Some say Ursula Southtell, but yes, I just chose the ones that I liked, as
Awesome
I did
name. Yeah.
with the story, because they're competing stories. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the one that I like best, and I challenge you to prove me wrong.
I won't
Anyway, Ursula was born in a cave in Yorkshire, England, around 1488, which was 1 year after that naughty Heinrich wrote his dirty little book.
bother. Unlucky for her, probably.
It turns out fine.
But being born
she-
in the 1400s was the definition of bad luck for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm living through 2020. Them bitches got nothing on.
Yeah. Fuck you, Inquisition people.
So she was the daughter of one Agatha Soothtell and a handsome devil known as... Oh, no, wait. He was just the devil.
Oh.
So, that'll happen. Ursula was, by all accounts, a precocious little girl, always getting into mischief, which you might expect from the
Classic.
literal spawn of Satan. Anyway, she grew up and married a carpenter named Shipton, which is unfortunate because the name Soothtell was, appropriate.
Yeah.
No one knows how she charmed Mr. Shipton into marriage, but folks theorized that it had to do with some sort of magic, either enchanting him to love her or magically making herself rich. What we do know is that it wasn't through her gorgeous appearance, because she was hideous.
Really?
Oh, the big nose crooked down with pimples, warts, and carbuncles all over, and also in an assortment of disgusting colors. A strange upturned chin. Like I say, she's the witch.
Yeah.
Well, is there an illustration of her you found? Or?
There are several illustrations
wow.
of her.
Look her up.
Yeah, but I mean, basically, it's just if you imagine witch, that's her.
Huh.
But we don't remember her for her looks. The reason Mother Shipton is famous is because she was a prophetess, a soothsayer of epic proportions. And none of this vague could apply to anything Nostradamus bullshit. She was specific, relatively. So much so that she got herself in hot water with none other than King Henry VIII himself.
Oh boy, if you're a woman, you do not want to cross that man's path.
One guy you don't want to be on the wrong side of the bed with.
Yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. After putting down a rebellion, old Hank had demanded a bunch of traitors be brought to him, including, quote, that witch of York. So she pissed off so many people in Henry's court that Cardinal Wolsey, Henry's close advisor, had a dust-up with her. He was also the Archbishop of York, though he had never actually been there himself. He went and sent some men before him to question the witch. She told the men that Wolsey would see York, but never actually set foot there. Sure enough, Wolsey climbed a nearby tower on his way, from which he was able to see the city, but was recalled to London to answer charges of treason.
Oh.
He died on the way home. Boom! First prophecy fulfilled. Other prophecies about nobles of the time also came true. Famous dudes losing their heads, the rise of Queen Elizabeth, the rise of King James, the fire of London. All of these were predicted, and in verse, no less. But you ain't seen nothing yet. She didn't just make predictions about her time. She saw way into the future. Check out these snippets and see if they don't blow your damned mind. Quote! Carriages without horses shall go, and accidents fill the world with woe. Around the world thoughts shall fly in the twinkling of an eye. Huh? Here we go. Here's some more. Through hills men shall ride, and no horse be at his side.
Well,
Underwater men shall walk, shall ride, shall sleep, shall talk.
Are these for real?
There's more. In the air men shall be seen, in white, in black, in green. I'm not sure what the colors have to do with anything, but men are flying.
well, you have to wonder how much of her prophesying was contaminated by the need to rhyme.
Yeah,
know?
exactly. She really got herself into some tight spots.
Yeah.
Fortunately, she clearly didn't feel the need for the verse to be perfect.
Yeah, you try finding something that rhymes with 5G network. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Here's another one. Iron in the water shall float as easily as a wooden boat. And if that isn't enough for you, there's the coup de grace, the icing on the cake, the bit that literally caused panic. After all of those amazing predictions came true, this one caused people to sell their stuff and hide in the forest that is truth. Here we go. The world to an end shall come in 1881. Well, they can't all be winners.
Yeah.
And it may have been a little hysterical of folks to have panicked like that, considering the fact that the guy who sold them the book of Mother Shipton's predictions also admitted to having written them.
Oh, really?
Okay.
That's right. All of those amazing prophecies about the modern world were written as a hoax well after they had happened. In 1873, Charles Hendley confessed to having made it all up.
Oh, thank God. You guys almost lost an uncle there.
Right? And considering that the end of the world was supposed to happen in 81, that gave ample time for people to stop believing in it. But you know how people are. Why give up a good woo just because you know for a fact that it's bullshit?
Well, I want to push back a little bit because I just looked it up, and it turns out that James Garfield was assassinated in 1881.
Oh.
And that was the end of the world?
Well, for him.
For him.
It's true. It was the end of the world for a lot of people.
Yeah,
really.
probably.
So there you go. Of course, Henley was just one in a long line of people who had written prophecies after the fact and attributed them to Miss Ursula. It turns out that it's a lot easier to be accurate in your prognostications if you do them backwards. That's not to say that it's super easy. For example, in some of the really early stuff, the Mother Shipton predictions published only decades and not centuries after her death there were predictions about, quote, Lord Percy, but then got things wrong, indicating that it was actually about a different Lord Percy. That sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Mother Shipton is the stuff of legends. You can still visit the grave where the cave where she supposedly was born outside of York. It's been so popular as a point of interest for so long that they call themselves the oldest tourist attraction in England.
Wow.
That's a pretty heavy claim for a country with as much history as England.
With such an assortment of henges.
I was about to
Yes,
say.
indeed.
Yeah.
You're various and sundry. And it's made all the more interesting by the fact that Mother Shipton almost certainly was not born there. As a matter of fact, it's entirely possible that no such person ever existed.
Oh.
Henry VIII's letter did mention a witch of York, but nobody actually knows who that was referring to. So there you go. Mother Shipton appeared in countless books. She's appeared in plays, pantomimes. There's even a moth named after her because of the splotches on its wings look like her imagined crone face in profile.
Huh. I was thinking this was going to end terribly with some poor old woman being burned to death, but it turns out there was nothing to burn.
There was nothing there to burn.
Wow.
It seems likely that this was just a nice and somewhat wise... There may have been, a somewhat wise woman who people went to for advice, and her legend sort of grew out of control.
Yeah.
And people wanted to believe magic existed, so they just made shit up.
Or it's a composite character or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Or maybe she was just entirely fake all along, but then again, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
It's true.
And like that, poof, she was gone.
Well, I looked up her picture, and she is the classic witch.
Yep.
Yep, she's the very classic witch. And as you were saying, Europe, I'm surprised that Europe went through a, hey, let's not burn witches phase for a while. Because
Yeah, it was just a witches aren't real phase, which is something we should really get back to. We should really look into that.
Yeah.
I don't often recommend the attitudes of the Dark Ages, but that one's one that's worth looking reinvesting in.
Yeah, we talked about Father Grandier and the Witches of Loudun a few episodes back, and that was in the 1630s. So, as the 17th century Enlightenment was kind of dawning across the rest of Europe, the church was still burning up witches.
Yeah, they really went after that with gusto, sort of after the this time of history.
It became the rage.
It's like bell bottoms, things just these fads just keep coming back and going away. So I get it.
It's
Well,
fun.
cool. Well, let's fly on out of here.
Yeah, dress like a witch, everybody. Gentlemen, hello again, and welcome to the part of the show where we talk about the people that are supporting us.
Yes, where we welcome the money changers into the temple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We only turn over the tables to find more money.
That's right.
We only turn over the Bitcoin tables.
Yeah, exactly. So all of you guys listening at home, a lot of you are very generous and want to give us your money, and we don't understand why, but we love it, and it's our favorite thing. So we got a lot of thanking to do today, fellas, so gear up. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks first to Kat and Michael, and now it's time to throw out some saints. We got some saints. So, Uncle Doug,
Oh boy.
give a saint to Chris.
Well, I have been watching a lot of Simpsons reruns lately, so sorry, Chris. Your saint is Saint Pyromancer, the breakdancer of Walla Walla, Washington. He's the patron saint of New Billboard Day, which by default makes him the patron saint of English muffins, barbecue sauce applied directly to still living cows, and, of course, inedible clown colleges. So
Inedible?
inedible clown colleges.
Okay.
Yeah.
The people who get this reference love this reference. I'm telling
Okay.
you. Taru, that's for you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations. Yeah.
There you go, buddy.
And it wasn't for Taru, it was for Chris.
Of
Well
course,
done,
Chris. That's your saint.
Uncle Mark, I'm going to give you, you need to do a saint for Ellie.
Ellie?
Yes.
Ellie, you, oh my gosh, I didn't think this was in the rotation, but here we go. You get Saint Mandible of Tibiana, and they are the patron saint of unisex lounge and cabana apparel, Neapolitan iced creams, and of course, most obviously, poetry about the Seven Gorges Dam in China.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
Oh,
it.
Seven Gorges Dam. You are so
Mostly
beautiful.
limericks.
You're so huge.
All right, and then I've got to give a saint to. We have this is a person who has been a patron of ours, but has upped their game. So, authentic frontier gibberish. Your patron saint is and it appropriately is Yosemite Bob, patron saint of comically oversized pistols, of also comically oversized headwear, and of the word tarnation.
And it can also be pronounced Yosemite, by the way.
Yes, exactly. That's right. So that's good.
Yeah.
And then Uncle Mark, there's one more that I can't remember that you're going to have to give to Uncle Doug to
Holy
do.
shit.
Oh, Doug, this major apologies to this patron because, again, Patreon, why did you make it so hard to tell when people fucking... It's just crazy. So
frustrating.
this is someone we've owed a saint to for a little bit of time. This is Dylan, who, by the way, said in a note to remind us that Doug is his favorite uncle. So Dylan is on my shit list. But Uncle Doug, maybe you are a more appropriate insanter for our dear friend Dylan.
Dylan, you're putting me on the spot here, but because you love me, I love you back. And from now on, listeners, no one has to say that Uncle Doug is the favorite uncle. We'll just assume it. So, Dylan, your saint is Saint Starscream, the squishy of Omaha. She is the patron saint of blank album covers, like the Beatles' White Album or Spinal Tap, Smell the Glove.
Oh, Smell the Glove, yeah.
Yeah. A hologram. She's also the patron saint of holograms of dead rappers and landlocked seabirds.
Nice.
There you go.
Which are the patron saints of Utah, by the way.
That's
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, good.
Well, all of these people have generously decided to give of their talents in the sense of money, and we sure appreciate it. If you want to do the same, you, dear listener, can go to howtoheretic.com, click on the support us thing. It's so easy. It doesn't cost much. You get to decide how much you want to give us. It can be anything. It can be $1 an episode. It can be $1,000 an episode. And the more you give, obviously, the better a person you are.
Yeah, the president's $1 billion in debt. Have some courage. Get close to that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We usually advise people on this show to be like the president.
Yes.
So if you can't do that, go ahead and give us 5 stars. 3 is not good. If you think we're a 3-star show, give us 5 stars. That's how that works.
Yeah.
And we sure do appreciate all of you. Let's move on.
Woohoo! Well, Uncle Dan.
Hello.
What's great about this moment in time right now is...
Oh, there's something?
I mean, there's so many things. Where do you want me to start? But
I'm excited.
Where I was going to say is public trust in government and our institutions has never been higher.
Oh, yeah. You
Ever.
can't... Every politician has an approval rating well above 80.
Well above the 0 it ought to be. So
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's a good time of year, Mark. The murder hornets hibernate. So there's that.
Oh, do they?
I don't know.
That's just so they get much stronger. They sleep in forest fires and become turbocharged. So Doug, why don't you tell us about trust in politicians right now?
Well, I'd love to. Dear uncles, we are in the final days of what will be, at the very best, one of the most disastrous, fraught, and violent elections in our history. And at worst, the last election in the American experiment. Lest anyone out there think I'm being hyperbolic, I present to you the news.
Yeah.
I'm, of course, talking...
I think you may be being hyperbolic because there were elections in Saddam's Iraq. He was just the only person on the ballot.
That's true.
Yeah.
And,
there are lots of places that have elections. It's just if they're free and fair, that's the question.
The ballot box is just a shredder.
That's right. Yeah. So, as you guys point out, I'm actually talking about the American election, and I know we have a lot of listeners from many other countries, but I have to tell you, our international friends, there is nary a molecule of oxygen left to think about anybody else right now.
Yes, sorry.
This election is so encompassing, and, I don't think I think about anything else.
Doug, the friends I correspond with in foreign countries, especially Canada, are just as engrossed as we are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How could anyone pay attention to anything else when that man has his finger on America's nuclear arsenal?
This joke is in poor taste right now, but when America catches a cold, the world gets sick, right?
Yeah.
Very poor taste.
Yeah.
Too soon. There are some pretty obvious differences between the two presidential candidates and between the candidates for all the elected positions that will be decided in this election. However, there is one thing that basically unites nearly all of them, and as far as I could find, just by looking, kind of a tertiary look, all of them. And that's that all of them are professed people of faith. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that some way down ballot candidates are professed atheists. I couldn't find any in this election cycle. I know they're there. Well, Derek Kitchen, but he's not on the ballot. Is he this year?
No. Not this year, no.
Yeah. So for every elected position in this country, from dog catcher to president, one is required to profess their faith loudly and often. In fact, the further up the ballot you go, the more religious the candidate has to pretend to be, at least. If you want to be a congressperson, senator, or president, you must have B-roll of yourself entering or leaving a church, or at least suspending constitutional rights to shamble across the street to awkwardly hold up a Bible upside down in front of one.
Yeah, I find that tear gas is actually pretty useful for all church-going occasions. So
if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Tear gas has a million uses.
Guys, as somebody said he attacked peaceful protesters with federal troops to hold up a book he doesn't read in front of a church he doesn't attend.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start at the top of the ballot, so to speak, and work our way down. To be president of the United States, according to the Constitution, one need only be a naturally born citizen and be 35 years old. As far as qualifications go, that's it. You don't need to be an expert on anything. You don't need to be smart. You don't even have to win the most votes. Thank you very much, Electoral College.
Yeah.
So you can be a warmonger, a crook, a dope, a racist, a bigot, a misogynist, a rank idiot, and I'm not even talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
These are all previous presidents we've had.
Yeah.
He has, Trump has in so many ways scrambled our politics, not least in the list of things one can be and still be president. Now you can add to that list openly bragging about sexual assault, openly pining for your adult daughter, calling for violence against your political opponents, refusing for a peaceful transfer of power, etc. There are, however, still a few factors that, as of now, absolutely disqualify a person from being president of the United States. Being a woman, being an out member of the LGBTQ community, and being an admitted atheist. And it's the former I want to talk about today. But before we get there, we should at least spend a moment on the latter two. We can attribute the fact that a woman has never been president to a deep-seated and not-so-secret misogyny that courses through this country. And we can attribute the fact that, although we have certainly had a gay president, I'm looking at you, James K. Polk, we have never had one that admitted to it, to a deep-seated and not-so-secret bigotry that courses through our country.
Are you serious? Polk was secretly gay?
I just randomly threw a dart.
Hold on a second.
But actually, there are a couple of guys who are likely, and I think Buchanan is one of them.
Yeah, you guys can have him.
Yes, and there was also the discussion about Abe Lincoln and his very special roommate.
Right.
Yeah.
So having had only one president of color does little to redeem our national reputation based on the fact that we've only had one, and to the naked racism.
We've had two presidents of color. One is just a color not assigned at birth,
and that changes day to day.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that the racism that marked the presidency of Barack Obama was so naked, and the fact that we elected a nakedly racist monster directly after him.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Women and LGBT.
I do, Doug, resent the fact that you said the word naked while I was picturing Donald Trump. I'm not okay with that.
And then you decided to share that with the world.
Yeah.
All right. Cleanse.
Radical honesty is what we do here.
Everybody
it's
drink
our
bleach.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Women and LGBTQ are born that way. Atheists are not. Or, more correctly, everyone is born atheist.
Right.
But identifies as religious later in life. But that's exactly the point. If you're a woman or gay or queer, you cannot simply change your mind about that. But if you are religious, you absolutely can. And yet, we have never had a president who admitted to being an atheist. We have had Episcopalians, Presbyterians, Disciples of Christ, Congregationalists, Southern Baptists, Northern Baptists, Methodists, Unitarians, a Quaker, and a Catholic, but never an atheist. The closest we've gotten is Abraham Lincoln, who never professed to a specific religion, and Thomas Jefferson, who was a deist and who had very good reasons for not wanting to believe in hell, and Donald Trump, who clearly does not believe in a higher power other than himself.
Yeah.
Right.
So moving down the ballot, you do find some notable atheists, but the list is not very long. Barney Frank, the congressman from Massachusetts, ticked 2 of those boxes and serves as the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah.
He is still alive, and I wish he was still in Congress because he's
Did he openly admit he was atheist all along?
I don't know if it was all along, but he did. He came out while a congressman.
Yeah, he was in Congress a long time.
And he was. I know that he was an out atheist while in office. I don't know if he did it. When that happened.
I don't either.
Believe it or not, we here in Deep Red, Utah, had an out atheist mayor of Salt Lake City, Rocky Anderson. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
In fact, of the current 538 members of the Congress, only 5 right now identify as unaffiliated, which is less than 1% of Congress. So only 4% of Americans self-identify as, atheist, but 26% self-identify as unaffiliated.
Well, and that depends on those figures depend on where you look, because I've seen as many as high as 8% saying atheist or agnostic.
Yeah, and I think the you can distinguish. Each of those things has their own little representation. So, some percent are atheists, some percent are agnostic, some percent are unbelievers, but lump them together as an unaffiliated, it makes up 26%.
Yeah,
that's
not a small number.
No. But it makes the unaffiliated easily the most underrepresented group in the country.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Now, imagine if you were an atheist of color or an LGBTQ atheist, there may not be a single elected member of government that truly represents you, or at least does so publicly.
Yeah, so I think Mormons are like 1/2% generously of the U.S. population. And I think there's 8 or 10 Mormons in Congress.
We had a little bit of a downturn in this last Congress
that's nice.
But it was Jeff Flake left the Congress, and
that's too bad. He was so useful.
He was such a brave man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Mormons are hyper overrepresented. I mean, white men are clearly insanely overrepresented in this country.
Yeah.
But this disparity was brought into sharp focus last week with the charade of a confirmation hearing of Amy Coney Barrett. The right tried to pretend that she was under attack for her religious beliefs, which Uncle Dan talked about last week, which are freaking troubling, her beliefs. But the Democrats, however, being Democrats, did not, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I tried to watch as much of the hearings as I could, didn't ask her a single question about her far-right religious splinter group, which I personally think they should have, but
I do too, and I don't think they did.
The right did such a good job of getting out ahead of that and screaming about religious bigotry that I think the left was terrified to say anything. Yeah. And what's funny is that the way the right were couching it was everybody's being bigoted against her Catholicism.
Yeah,
and nobody was mentioning the sidecar cult that she was a part of.
Yeah, exactly. And
that Barack Obama was attacked for 8 years for being a secret Muslim, even though he went to church every Sunday.
Right.
And even the Christian denomination he went to, he got attacked for because the pastor was pretty outspoken.
Or the fact that Joe Biden is Catholic.
Yeah. Right.
Right, I know. And an active Catholic.
Which I don't love, but there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all of that didn't stop the right from going out there and pretending that it's pretty hard for religious people in this country.
Yeah.
And then you have unctuous religious fanatics like Tom Cotton or our very own Mike Lee, who, while not actively spreading the coronavirus, is openly calling for the end of democracy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Did you guys see his tweet from the other day, a few days ago?
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah, let's just make sure it's repeated here because it's fucking crazy. He said, quote, "Democracy isn't the objective. Liberty, peace, and prosperity," he said prosperity, "are. We want the human condition to flourish. Rank democracy can thwart that."
Yeah. Well, first of all,
Rank democracy meaning fair elections.
Yeah.
Yeah. And first of all, you know how the Castilian Spanish kind of affectation is said to have developed from courtiers flattering, was it Charles?
Yeah, sure.
King Carlos or whatever, who had a lisp.
Right.
I think that now to curry favor with Trump, you have to put typos into your tweets, right? So that's how that language is developing.
Well,
but yeah, this canard that we're not a democracy, that we're a republic, is
so
this
stupid
distinction without a difference that was started by the John Birch Society when they were mad about the civil rights movement.
And anyone who is tempted to use that argument in a debate, just let me put this marker down. It makes you sound stupid.
Yeah.
You think you're sounding smart. And old Mike Lee, you know, if you're going to call for the end of the American experiment, can you at least use spell check? For fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
So can we just spend a second on Mike Lee, our senator?
Sure.
I cannot. This man is. I'm so disgusted to be represented by him in Congress.
Yeah.
Mike Lee looks like he just sold a monorail to Ogdenville. You know what I mean?
I think he looks like your souffle fell, but it somehow still managed to put on a suit.
It's funny because you know, I'm not super into making fun of people's looks, but he does look like a wax museum rejected him because they couldn't make him. They can't make him their thing look as waxy as he actually looks.
To look too lifelike.
He looks like a French witch brought a brie to life on a hot day and cursed it to sell insurance.
Mike Lee looks like a proctologist who's not in it for the money.
I think Mike Lee is like the Terminator, but if instead of Skynet becoming self-aware, it was vanilla pudding.
All right. Do we
Mike
have any
Lee
more
is what not having a healthy dose of imposter syndrome looks like.
Oh, my God.
Oh, any more?
Mike
looks
Lee
like
was
a bitch.
Mike Lee was the original baby with a bowl of spaghetti on his head from the classic poster.
Oh, Mike Lee, we hate you.
Yeah.
So this is not an exclusively American problem, obviously, not having or being, you know, atheists not being allowed to really operate publicly in the elected square. But the list of countries that also have this problem are not what we should consider to be good company. Spare a thought again for our poor friend Shabu and the plight of being an atheist in Uganda.
Yeah.
But this is not nearly such a big problem for the more enlightened countries in the world. And let's give a big shout out to our Kiwi listeners. New Zealand just showed us all that this need not be a problem by re-electing Labour Party leader Jacinda Ardern, who is not only a former Mormon, but an admitted agnostic and a woman.
Yeah.
So, you know, this can be done.
Yeah.
And it also bears mentioning that under her leadership, New Zealand has defeated the coronavirus. And their lives are basically back to normal.
Yeah, and apparently she breastfed her newborn in cabinet meetings. Can you imagine the American right having to contend with this woman?
No.
Like they would come out of their skin.
Yeah.
I yearn for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it can happen. It's just a matter, and that's really what I want to get to here in a second. It bears mentioning. So that's a lot of throat clearing to get to this point. Uncle Dan, you and Frank have been encouraging more atheists to run for public office over on TGIA for several weeks now.
That's right.
And that's obviously the right thing to do. And so if any listeners who want to go over and listen to those, I think you've been doing it for 4 weeks now. Is that right?
Something like that. I don't know. That's a time question. I don't pay attention to those things.
Time is a flat circle.
That's right.
But today I want to talk a little bit more about the context within which atheists, for example, would have to run for Congress or any elected office. So just here are my two questions for you guys and you know, to contend with and hopefully solve for all of us.
Yeah,
Why is
we'll definitely take care of it.
Why is atheism still so stigmatized in American elected office? And how can we change that environment? What can we do? So,
well, here's the thing.
It.
There was and is a concerted effort to this end, to demonizing atheists. And it's because this is all part of Project Blitz. And before that other thing, there was, and this goes back to before the Reagan era, but there was a concerted effort by the Republican Party to associate their name and their brand with Jesus. And that involved things like, because honestly, before this like very calculated effort, evangelicals didn't care about abortion. It was not an issue that was big on their radar at all.
This was Jerry Falwell being angry about desegregation.
Yeah, and it does arise largely out of hatred of black folks and hatred of the civil liberties movement, and so they decided that their best bet was a full frontal assault, demonizing a group of several groups of people, to and instilling fear as the thing that they would use to hold on to their base. And so yes, gay folks were demonized, and people of color were demonized, and this was all very, very planned as a political tactic to get people on their side and to hold on to them. So now we've got this a country where a non-believer has been beaten into the heads of the religious of religious America that we non-believers are worse than rapists.
Yeah, and exactly. And so you get otherwise intelligent people who also happen to be believers. And I'm not saying all believers are stupid. I'm just making a point here that they will ask you with a straight face, well, why don't you just go rape and murder people? To this day, like to say that about atheists, because that has been so successfully. It's like Dan said about the Republicans working the refs to make it so the Democrats couldn't even ask a question about this cult she belonged to. Right, Amy Cody Barrett. That's how successful the poisoning has been. Is that you would, like, if people find out you're an atheist, they won't let you babysit their kids, right?
Right. But it enters specifically among professions. It enters the conversation in politics in a way that it does not among doctors or airline pilots or engineers, right? Like, if you're an airline pilot, no one knows what your affiliation is. No one asks you. You don't have to talk about it.
Right.
But in American politics, you have to talk about it articulately, unless you're Donald Trump and it's in 2 Corinthians. But you know what I mean? Like, why is it that, of course I want to lament the fact that we require our leaders to talk about Jesus and go to church on Sunday
and say God bless America.
Right, exactly. Right. But why are we stuck in this? If Democrats are an opposition party, and we've gotten to a place as a party where we can talk about being pro-choice unabashedly, which many Democrats do, why can't we have that? Why can't we make that evolution on religion?
Well, I think it's very distasteful, to be honest. Well, for many reasons, but I find it very distasteful when politicians talk too much about, like, very much about God.
Right.
Like, if you go to church on Sunday and I don't care, right? That's fine. And if you want to mention Jesus once or twice, I don't give a shit. And in the same way, I think it would be strange for an atheist candidate for office or office holder to lead with atheism.
Yeah.
Right? I think I think if you don't lead with it, you don't hide it, but you don't lead with it, would be my advice, right? So
I think that part of the issue here is that these when this happened, when the conservative right started this kind of messaging, the left never caught up.
No.
They never figured it out, because the counter messaging is actually really simple. I was raised sort of in the 80s. There was this general notion that was taught to me, which was America's a big melting pot. It's decidedly for everyone. You're all supposed to be here, and we're all supposed to learn from each other and take the good things of everybody's, culture. And they ruined that. They broke that. Mm-hmm. If the left had stuck to that and said, "Look, the reason that I'm not going to talk about God too much is because I want to honor all of my fellow Americans, and not everyone believes in that. And, I want to honor my Hindu American brethren, and I want to honor my, my Confucian American brethren, or whatever, and my non-believing Americans." If they had hit that hard, if that messaging had been effectively put out there as a counter to this religious thing, we'd be in a different place right now. Yeah. But it didn't get out there because they were taken completely by surprise by this whole strategy.
Well, so much of our politics right now are, the right has had a concerted agenda for 40 years or more, but, from the Reagan Revolution to today.
Yeah.
It's been about judges, it's been about voter suppression, and it's worked, right? They are a minority party, and they are running government, across the fucking board.
Yeah.
And, the statistics on Supreme Court justices alone are so gallingly, maddening because, the Republicans have appointed, I forget, it's some giant majority of the last 10 Supreme Court justices, and several of those presidents were not elected by a majority of Americans. It goes on and on.
Yeah, and the confirmations were made by senators who,
represent vanishingly small segments of our population.
Essentially represent empty space.
Right.
Yeah.
But the way I look at this, and tell me, what you guys think of this, is not long ago, not many years ago, in well within the lifetime of everyone who's listening to this podcast, what has happened with gay rights and gay marriage was inconceivable. Inconceivable.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Right. Those of us who remember well the Bush administration in 2004 presidential campaign, which was based on homophobia, and they won. From that time to get to where we are now, there's many, many things that happened, but something happened, right? And I kind of think if there's a way for atheists to find our way out, and out of our closet, so to speak, and into the limelight, especially in elected office, the culture has to experience some kind of a change. And I'm curious how, what you guys think was the impetus for that. I know there were more than one, and there were many people who did a lot of work, but that they did it, right?
For kind of the general acceptance of queer rights and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I know we're far from being where we want to be, but we're a lot closer than I thought we'd be in 2020.
Well, as a queer kid, growing up in the 70s and 80s, I didn't think these days would ever occur.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, obviously a huge amount of that was what I would call cultural power or soft power, right? And that was kind of Hollywood. That was putting, I hate to say like Will and Grace, I hate to say it's totally a positive examination of queer existence, because it was kind of a minstrel show. And gay people were, beloved characters, but they were also ridiculous parodies. But things like that, and now, Ellen DeGeneres, who's turned out to be a horrible human being, but her, her coming out on her show, and those things were tremendously important. That's part of it. I also think society becoming, and this was mirrored in what you were saying earlier about the Christian right and them working the refs, but society has started at that point to become less and less religious, and that's also went a long way towards that kind of acceptance. I think that portrayals of atheists as not being monsters is important, and I will, with all possible humility, say I think that's part of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think so. I also think that we need to take more pages from the LGBTQ playbook, because since Stonewall and since going back to the 70s, 60s, 70s, gay people made it a point to come out.
Yep.
And to be open and to
take
be
enormous
visible.
risks and come out. Yeah.
Yeah, when it was very, very dangerous for them to do so.
Yeah.
Because they knew that the visibility was the only thing that was going to make them human.
Yeah.
And I think when people, when mothers started finding out that their own child was gay, or when somebody's favorite niece or nephew was gay, suddenly it wasn't just this theoretical thing that they could hate, but it was a person that they loved. It was a face that they had to contend with.
Yeah.
And so I think part of our job as non-believers, as heretics in the world, if it's safe to do so, or if you're brave enough to do so, is to be open and out and public about your non-belief.
Yeah, if you're able. I think of this is a courageous thing, but I think about our friend Vern and his, lovely cohort of young people at Utah Valley University who have a secular student alliance club, and they table, like they show their faces and say, come talk to us, ask us about, atheism and secularism. And that's brave. And those are the kind of steps that need to be taken to make this happen, I think.
Well, and I think, if you think about, to your point, Uncle Mark, too, that there's not a lot of atheist content, so to speak, because Will and Grace, it's on everyone's list because it happened, and there's no denying that it had an effect.
It was in the right place at the right time, yes.
Yeah. And there's that apocryphal story, I don't know if it's true or not, but I do love it, of when
Nichelle Nichols.
Michelle Nichols wanted to quit Star Trek because she didn't like, kind of how she was being portrayed as, the short skirt and
As
stuff.
kind of a piece of ass on the show, yeah.
And Martin Luther King came to her and said, you need to stay on the show. We need black women on
Black
TV.
little girls have to see someone that looks like them on television.
Yeah, and I think the most of the content we have as atheists is, it's antagonistic, and I certainly understand that. It's things like the God delusion, but there's not many portrayals of atheists in our pop culture that are positive. There's just not very many portrayals of atheists at all, and it's what's so strange about that is Hollywood is disproportionately atheist.
Yeah, it's weird.
And the people writing the shows and making the shows and acting in the shows are, by and large, non-believers. But we don't have a lot of that content we can point to that's not angry or kind of vitriolic, because a lot of us are, pretty scarred by what happened to us.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are trying to remedy that. A few years back, about 5 years ago, there was a writing competition that was sponsored by the Center for Inquiry in Los Angeles that was about trying to write a sitcom, basically trying to write Our Will and Grace, that was about, just portraying non-believers in a light that wasn't like, they're either sort of unfeeling robots like the guy on Big Bang Theory, or they're sort of grumpy monsters like House,
right?
Or they're just trying to get some representation out there, and it didn't go anywhere. I should know. I won that competition.
Oh, really?
But it the effort is out there. We just need to increase it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And what's really funny, you guys, is Dan, on Thank God I'm Atheist, you had our state senator, Derek Kitchen, on, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Who is a personal friend of mine I've known for a long time. And I don't think I officially knew he was an atheist until I heard him on your show.
He's not, it's not a point that he makes a big issue about. Yeah. But it means a lot to me, and I think it meant a lot to a lot of our listeners, that he was willing to say it.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. And that goes back to what I was saying a bit earlier. It's like, what's so distasteful about the Christians, some of the Christians who are in office, is just how fucking that's the tip of their spear. That's the entire conversation.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want an atheist running for office to be that person.
Right.
Because that's not, yes, religion factors into a lot of problems in America, but, we elected you to fill the potholes and keep the lights on.
Yeah, and
Right.
atheism doesn't make you a good politician.
No,
by
or
any
a good
means.
person. Yeah.
Right.
But here's the thing is, and this might be a little late in the day to bring this up, but it's that I don't want, both of your point, I don't want someone to run for office on an atheist ticket or an atheist platform.
Right.
I just want atheists to be able to run for office.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that by and large, believing in science, not believing in fairy tales is a positive. And, religious people have pretty much exclusively run this country these 240 years and have cocked it up pretty goddamn hard.
Yeah, and at least being willing to try to protect the secular space in which everyone can live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I
like the point that they've cocked it up because it's not like an atheist can do worse.
Right. Right. So, I think, to bring this full circle, I think we need to try and you're right, Mark. We're trying to do this now.
Yeah.
This podcast is an attempt to
Humanize atheism.
Humanize atheism and give it a happy face, because I think it's a happy life.
It's a totally happy life. Yeah.
And we should be seen as more positive than we are seen, because we're good people. There are bad atheists. There's bad apples in every goddamn bushel.
Yeah,
but
and not every atheist is going to be a leftist either.
No.
There's
We're
plenty of
working
examples
on
of
that.
shitty right-wing atheists,
Yep. Well,
So-
I think we solved it.
Yes, I think so.
I'd like to end this segment, if you'll give me a point of personal order, with actually casting my ballot. I'm going to write in my... you hear that?
Are you voting on the air, Doug?
I'm voting on the air.
Boom.
Is that illegal? Am I going to get in trouble for this?
I don't think so. I think President
I don't think
Kanye will
I don't
pardon
think
you.
anybody can get in trouble in America for anything anymore. So yeah,
Laws don't matter.
So I'm not going to go do the whole ballot because it's long and I don't know who a lot of these people are, I have to admit. But I am going to fill in the circle for Kanye West and Michelle Tidball right on.
Poor Michelle
Who's
Tidball. Who do you think she is? Like, how
don't
did she
know.
get dragged into this?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
She's probably one of his backup dancers or something.
Probably his personal assistant. She's like, oh,
she's
fuck,
probably a serious person who actually wants to be a politician, and this was her only way.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so here we go.
I've got bad news for her.
Right.
All right, Joseph R. Biden and Kamala D. Harris. I am filling in the bubble right now.
Boom, baby.
Oh, that feels good.
Yeah.
And then let's do
I
one more.
like after that whole discussion, you go and vote for a Catholic. So.
Yeah, a Catholic. And is Kamala Hindu?
No, she's
I don't know.
she's some sort of Christian. She's
Yeah.
some
But-
version of Christian.
Listen, perhaps one of the only things I have in common with women of color is, you got to be pretty pragmatic about your candidates.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you kind of have to. Voting for the lesser of two evils is the alternative, because voting for the greater of two evils is monstrous.
Is more evil. And
Is more evil.
I tweeted the other day that dropping my my ballot in the county drop-off box this year felt less like a guy mailing a letter and more like one of the senators angling for his shot to stab Caesar.
Right.
Just, good motherfucker, come here.
Let me in there. So one more thing before we go. It's Constitutional Amendment C. This is a weird way to end this. Shall the Utah Constitution be amended to make the following changes to the Utah Constitution's ban on slavery and involuntary servitude? Remove the language that allows slavery and involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime, and clarify that the ban does not affect the otherwise lawful administration of the criminal justice system. I'm going to go ahead and put I'm for
Yes.
banning slavery in
Yes.
2020.
Yeah.
Nice.
There we go.
Poke Brigham Young in the eye with that one, Doug.
I feel pretty good about that. There you go.
Suck it. All right. Well, thanks for that. Go out there and vote. Go out there and run for office.
And show your beautiful faces and speak your truth. I think that's how
right.
we're going to build a future.
That's right.
All right. Thanks.
Love you guys. Moving on.
Well, friends, that's it for this week's show.
Hey, we'd love to hear from you. If you are a witch, send us an email at howto@howtoheretic.com.
Or if you think there's any Mike Lee burns we missed, why don't you call and leave us a message with those at 903-88-HOW, which is 903-884-6986. I'm also on Twitter at HowToHeretic. Again, for any further Mike Lee burns, all will be accepted.
And thanks to our all of a sudden way more numerous patrons. We love you.
Yep, and thank you, Cody Layton, for editing the show.
And thanks to all of you, dear friends, for tuning in.
Bye, friends.
Wiedersehen.
Mike Lee is a self-burn.